So that's my desktop. So let me open Excel. So yesterday we looked at how we can open Excel. So I said to open Excel, just locate your where you have your applications. For some Windows, it could be click on Start, or you press your Start button on the keyboard. But for my Windows, I'm using Windows 10, so I'll click on my Start button. I'll see my application list. Then I'll scroll down and look for Excel. So this is Excel 2016. There are different versions of Excel. I didn't talk about that yesterday. We have Excel 2003. It's actually a very old version. I doubt if anybody will be using that version at this moment. We have Excel 2007. Some persons might be using that. We have 2013. We have 2010. Then we have 2013. I'm stating it in order. 2007, 2010, 2013, and then we have 2016. So this is 2016 that I'm using. I think there's 2019, but I'm using 2016. So I'll open my application list by clicking on my Start button. So before I go on, can we see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, those of you that are online, can you see my screen? If you are not seeing the screen, you can just put it on the chat section so that I would we'll look at that. So I'll click on Excel, and then the Excel application would come up. So the Excel application will come up. So yesterday we talked about how that you can start a blank workbook, or you can search for a template. If you want to search for a template, you click on this search button here and type what you want to search for. Maybe you want to search for an invoice. You want to create an invoice, so you just search, click on search. So these are templates. So once you open any of these templates, you can edit it or make it look the way you want it. So I'm clicking on, this is one, click on create. So this is a template. So with this template, you can create what you want to create. Now, apart from using a template, you can decide to use a blank workbook. So a blank workbook will be blank. There will be nothing on it. So that's what we looked at yesterday. And after looking at how we can start up the Excel application, we now looked at how to go around the Excel display screen. Like you can see at the moment, this is the Excel display screen. I talked about different parts yesterday. I'm just trying to run through what we did yesterday, especially for those that were not around yesterday. So we saw what the display screen is. We talked about different parts of the display screen. We talked about the tabs, which are the File tab, the Home tab, Insert, Page Layout, Formula, Data, Review, View. Those are the tabs. And then I told you that under each tabs, we have options. That the options you have under each tabs combined with the tabs is what we call ribbon. So we saw that. And I also talked about this point where we enter formula. We enter Excel formula. We are going to use it so much today because we'll be looking at Excel functions and do some calculations from there. So we talked about the rows and the columns. You discover that in Excel, we have small tiny boxes, and I said these tiny boxes are called cells, that each of the cells are unique, and they are uniquely identified by combining the column and the row. So if you check at the moment, you discover that we have alphabets and numbers. So the alphabet is for the column and the numbers, is for the rows. So this particular row that I'm clicking on at the moment, which is the active cell, is H4. So on the name box, like I said yesterday, you can see the active cell. So and I talked about the cell pointer. I said the cell pointer is the green, bounded tick, this tick bounding box on a cell or group of cells. So this tick bounding box, like you can see on this group of cells that I've selected, is what we call the cell pointer. So it's what actually tells you if a cell is active or not. So if you don't see that on a cell, it means that the cell is not active. So, but if you see it on a cell, it means that the cell or cells are active. Okay, so those are some of the things we looked at yesterday, and we were able to move forward. So today we'll be looking at something very important. Today we'll look at how we can enter formulas in Excel. From there, we'll move to look at functions, and then look at the sum function, sum if function. Then we'll look at how we can sum columns and rows automatically. We'll also look at some statistical functions in Excel, like the count function, like the mean function, max function, average if function, and the others. So we'll also look at how we can work with the range finder. And finally, we'll look at how to check for errors. When you are doing a calculation and you encounter an error, how do you check to correct the error or know what the error is? So all these things we'll look at practically. We'll look at them practically, because I'm going to open a sample file. I've created a sample file for each of these exercise. So we look at them practically. So just stay put and just follow. I want to say at this moment, I want to thank you all for coming online again today. So this is the day 2. Tomorrow we'll round up. So just follow me, and I trust that you learn something new. For those of you that are just joining us for the first time, you're welcome. So first, we'll look at how do you enter formulas in Excel. Now, let me open the sample file before we go on. So I want to believe you can remember how we open a workbook. We explained that yesterday. You click on File, Open, and then you look for your file. You browse. You click on what? Browse. But if you have worked on the file before, you will see it here. Guys, these are recent files I've worked on. Like this part, my mouse is running on at the moment. I want to believe you can see this part my mouse is running on. So these are recent files. So, but if you can't find the file you want to open here, you click on what? Browse. Now, once you click on browse, the computer will open its file system. Now, on the file system, you look for your file. You look for your file, and then let me look for the file. The name of the file is Excel Masterclass file. So this is the file, Excel Masterclass file. So I'll click on it, and then I'll click on Open. I'll click on Excel Masterclass file, and then click on what? Open. So let me click on Open. Okay, so this is the file. So this is the file. As you can see on the file, I have some sample files. Okay, so I have some sample files. So now we want to look at how we enter formulas in Excel, entering formulas. Now, to enter a formula in Excel, you must start with an equals sign. Now, whenever you are starting with an equal sign, Excel knows that you want to enter a formula. So you can enter a formula from the formula bar, this is the formula bar here. If you can see my screen where I'm typing at the moment, that's the formula bar. So you can enter your formula there, equals to. So, or if you don't want to enter your formula from the formula bar, you can enter it directly from the cell where you want your result. So that is how we enter formula. So you enter formulas on the formula bar, like I could say equals to, like if you check this table that we have here at the moment, we have how many numbers? We have 6 numbers, number one to number 6, and we have numbers under. So I want to sum all these numbers. So this is where I want my result under sum. So I can start with equals to, I can say equals to, and then say sum. So sum is a function. I will explain that. Sum, the first cell is this, A3. The first cell is this, A3, comma, B3, comma, C3, comma, D3, comma, E3, and then finally, comma, the last cell. So let me position that properly. Comma F3. F3. So that is what I want to sum. I'll close the bracket and then I will press enter. So this is the sum of all these numbers. So look at the formula at the formula bar. Hope you can see the formula bar. That's where I am at the moment. So the formula bar equals to sum. So what I'm whenever you are entering a formula, you must start with an equals sign. Now, if I remove the equals sign, it will not become a formula. It will just be an ordinary word, text. Look at it. Now, you can see I've removed the equal sign and it is now an ordinary word, text. It doesn't mean anything. It's just an ordinary text. But for Excel to render your input in a cell as a formula, you must start with what? An equal sign. So immediately I put the equal sign, you can see it's rendering it as a formula. It means that I want to sum all the content of this cell. I want to sum all of them together. That is, add them up. So like I told you, when you are working with Excel, it is important and good that you use the cell name. Like all this number, I can add them without using the cell name. I told you yesterday that the cell name represents what we have inside the cell. So this A3, which is the first cell, it represents 56, while B3 represents 78. C3 is for 80, D3 is for 100, E3 is for 399, while the last one, F3, is for 569. So what we are doing is that we are adding all the numbers up in the cell contents, but each cell is represented with the cell name. Okay, so that's how that's what you should use the cell name. Now, instead of using the cell name, I can just do something like this. I can do 56. I can do equals to 56 plus 78 plus 80 plus 100 plus 399 plus 569. So now you can see I'm using the numbers itself and not the cell name. I'm using the numbers instead of the cell name. Now I can press enter. I will still get the same answer. Now, but there was something I showed you yesterday, which we are still going to look at, which is called autofill. Now, if you use the numbers itself without using the cell name, you will not be able to use autofill. Yesterday, I said for you to use auto, when you're working in Excel, you don't need to start calculating all your answers. Excel can help you out after you have done the first. So we have done the first calculation. If I want the others, and I click following this small, using this small button at the bottom right corner, and I click and drag down. you discover that I can't get the answers for the others. It's still giving me the same answer that I have before. Now, the reason is because I didn't use the cell name. I used the numbers itself inside the cell. So let me undo that. So Ctrl Z to undo. So now you can see that I'm using the cell name equals to some this. So if I press enter and then click and drag using autofill, you discover that it is giving me the other words answers. It's giving me the answers for the others. So we'll still talk about that also later. But then, like I've said, for you to enter a formula, you must start with the equals sign. You must start with the equals sign. It's the equal sign that will tell Excel that you are entering a formula, and Excel will render whatsoever you are entering as a formula. If you don't, it will just be a normal text. It will be a normal text, like we have seen. Do we understand that? Okay, I just hope we get that. So that's the first thing we are looking at today. Whenever you want to enter a formula, start with an equal sign. Don't forget that. Very important. Very, very important. Okay, so the next thing we'll be looking at is this. We'll be looking at the sum function. Okay, so we'll just with the sum function. Now, Excel have what we call functions. Now, these functions help you to carry out some features, some things, some calculations, easily. You want to do a calculation, you want to carry out an analysis, you could do that easily using these Excel functions. And the sum function is one of the Excel functions, and sum function is widely used. It's widely used. So I will show us how we can use the sum function. So like we can see on the screen, this is just a sample. So what I want to do is I want to add all the numbers on the left hand side. I want the result to be under the sum column. So I want to add all the numbers on each row. As you can see, I want to add them and get my result. So how do I do that? I'm going to use the cell name, like I've said, is the best. Instead of using the actual numbers, it's better I use the cell name. So I will use the cell name. I will start with an equal sign. Like I said, you can enter your formula from the formula bar, or you can enter directly inside the cell where you want your result. You understand? It's the same thing. You can enter directly inside the cell where you want your result, or you can enter it in the formula bar. So let me enter it, from the cell where I want my result. So this is the cell where I want my result, the cell that I'm selecting at the moment. So I will type equals. I will start with equal sign. You get, so, and then I will type the sum, I'll type sum, SUM. So now this SUM tells Excel that I want to, whatever I will be typing. So I'll open a bracket. Then what this thing is doing is that it's telling Excel that whatever I type inside this bracket, please sum them together. That's what the sum function does. So whatever I put inside the bracket, it will sum all of them together. So then I'll start mentioning, listing all the cells that I want to sum. So the first cell is this. You could decide to type the name of the cell. Like the first cell is A3. As you are typing, you discover that Excel will be highlighting the cells for you. Guys, it will be showing you the range finder. We're still going to talk about the range finder. So the first cell is A3. You could say comma B3, then comma C3, comma D3, comma E3, comma F3. That's the last. So you can see that it has highlighted each of the cells with different colors. showing you all the numbers that I'm adding together. So you finally close the bracket. Okay, so that's the formula. I'll finally close the bracket and press enter on my keyboard. So it will give me the sum. So the sum of all these numbers is 1282, as we can see. So if you check the formula bar, you see the formula. But if you check the cell, you see the result. If you are looking at the cell, you are going to see the result. But if you look at the formula bar, you will see our formula. So if I want to edit my formula, I can still edit from the formula bar. I can also edit from the cell where the result is by double clicking the cell. Okay, so that's the formula for sum function. Now, if you look at the formula I wrote, you discover I said A3, B3, C3, D3, E3, F3. Now, if you have a large number of cells to sum, maybe you have like 1,000 cells to sum together, it will be a very tedious work to be typing each cell one after the other. Do you understand? It will be a long work. You have 1,000 cells to sum together. You'll be typing A3T, 1,000 cells. That would be too much. So you could make this very short. Instead of doing A3, B3, C3, D3, E3, F3, and so on, you can just make it short by using the colon sign. In Excel, the colon sign means two. You can use it to cover a range of cells. So how do we do that? So we're going to edit this as our formula. So let's remove all these A3, B3, let's remove them. So first, you know your starting point, the first cell you are targeting. So the first cell on the, is A3. So you type A3. Then after typing A3, put the colon sign in between. Then you now type the last cell, F3. The last cell is F3. Now, if you look, you discover that Excel has highlighted from A3 to F3. So this A3 to F3 is a range. So we are covering everything in between. We are covering A3 to F3 and everything in between. So colon means, start from this point, cover everything in between, and stop here. So we are saying Excel, add from A3, sum from A3, and then sum all, the cells in between, and then stop at F3. I want to believe we understand that. So that's what you can see. The formula is very short. So even if I have 1,000 cells to sum, I will take the first cell, put the colon sign, and take the last cell. It will cover all those 1,000 cells. So what I just typed now is a range of cells. It's not just two cells. Take note. So it is not A3 and F3. If I do A3, F3, it means I'm only summing A3 and F3. Do you get that? So if I do A3, F3, I'm only summing A3 and F3 alone. B3, C3, D3, and E3 are not included, as you can see on the screen. The Excel is only highlighting A3 and F3. The others are not included. But if you do A3 colon, it is going to take A3, it's going to take F3, and everything in between those 2 points. So what we call this is a range. So that's how we cover a range. So this makes it very easy. So that when you have a whole lot of cells to sum, you don't need to start worrying yourself doing this comma this. So, but that comma this comma what that I showed you is one of the ways you can do it. But this is the best. This is the best. This is the way I do it, and it's easier like that. So once you have done it like this, press enter. You still get the same result. You still get the same result. So let's do it for the second row. Equals to sum, open bracket. This time around we are in A4, column F4. You close the bracket, you press enter. So let's do it again. Equals to sum, open bracket. Now the next row is A5. colon F5. You close the bracket, you press what? Enter on your keyboard. Then the last one equals to sum, open bracket, A6 colon F6. You close the bracket and then you press what? Enter on your keyboard. So we are done with all the rows. We are done with them. So that is how you use the sum function. What I just showed you now is how you use the word sum function. Equals to put sum, open your bracket, put the cells you want to sum, close the bracket, enter. That's all. So that is if you have question, when we get to the point, for asking questions, you ask your questions. So the sum function is very, very popular. It's one of the most used functions in Excel. So that's how we use it. That's how the sum function is used. So we have been able to sum all these numbers together, all the rows, and we have our results. We have our results. Okay, so that's how we use the sum function. So next, I'm going to talk about the sum if function. After I talk about the sum if function, then I will now talk about how we can use the auto sum to automatically sum our rows and also automatically sum our columns. Okay, so the next sheet I have is sum if. I don't know if you can see it at the bottom. Yes, at the sheet navigation bar, I have sum if. Okay, so this is sum if. Sum if what? Function. Now the sum if function is similar to the sum function. The sum if function is similar to the sum function, but now where the sum if function is different is that you must put a condition for the sum if function to work. Do you understand? So there must be a condition. Like for instance, this is a row of numbers. These are what? This is a row of numbers. Now, probably I want to sum only those numbers that are greater than 40. I want to sum only those numbers that are greater than what? Than 40. So what do? I will use the sum if function, because if I use the sum function, it will sum all the numbers. Or if I use only the sum function, it might be very, very tedious for me, trying to look at, we just have a little, just something small here, but you might have a large, entry of numbers, and you want to sum a particular, within that, entry of numbers, you want to sum numbers that are greater than 40. If you want to use the sum function, you have to be looking at each cell and be finding the ones that are greater than 40 and be summing it. No, with the sum if function, you can easily do that. So on this particular row, I want to sum numbers that are greater than 40. What do? I use the sum if function. I will just type equals to. Remember, whenever we are entering a formula, we use equals to. That's the first thing we type. Equals to sum if. You open a bracket. You choose your range. The first cell there is what? A3. So you put your colon sign, and you take the last cell, F3. So I've selected the whole range. Now, but in between this range, I want to sum numbers that are greater than 40. So you do comma, and then you open a double quote, open a double quote, then you say greater than 40. You close the double quote, then you finally close your your bracket. Now look at the formula: sum if greater than 40. That is what this formula is. You see, you are telling Excel, look at this range of cells from A3 to F3. Sum those ones that are greater than 40. don't know if you understand that. So you are saying sum the ones that are greater than 40. So when I press enter now, Excel will go through this range of cells that I've selected, and it will look for those ones that are greater than 40, and it will sum them together. All the numbers that are not greater than 40, it will leave them. But the ones that are greater than 40, it will pick them, sum them together. So it is still summing, but then with a what? Condition. There's a condition now. So let me press enter so that we'll see the results. Okay. So now we have what? 169. 169. So that's the what? That's the answer. So we can easily identify those ones that are greater than 40. The cells are, this is 59, is greater than 40. Okay. This is 67, is greater than 40. This is 43, it is greater than 40. So that means Excel summed 59, 67, and 43. And if you add those numbers, you see that it is 169, like we have here. Okay, so let's do it for the second row. So what I said is, first you enter in your what? Your equals what? Your equal sign. After entering the equal sign, you type your word sum if, then you open a bracket, then you say, you pick your range A3 colon F3. Then you put comma, space, then you open a double quote, then you put your condition greater than, the greater than 49 is the condition, 40, then you close your double quote, your quote, and then you close the bracket. So that is that is just how the formula is. It could be greater than whatsoever. You could remember, you can also do equals to. Do we get that? You can do equals to a particular number. You can do less than, you can do equals to, you can do less than, you can do greater than, you can do greater than equals to, or less than equals to. You will get that. So those are some of the things we can include in our condition. Do you get? So we can include those things. So for this particular one example, we are saying greater than 40. So all the numbers that are greater than 40, those are the numbers that Excel will pick. Enter. Now, I want to say something else before we go on. Now, if you